So hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Takuzwa and today we are going to be answering a random interview question. Right. So here is the question that I have. Right. So it goes like this. You are in charge of a display advertising program. You either display it on websites or over the internet. We have some CSV input data that counts how many times that users have clicked on an ad on each individual domain. Every line consists of a click count, a domain name like this. So here is how our data looks like. So this is sort of like an array, which is in each item, each line. This is like the first is the number on which this domain has been clicked on, and then we also have this. It was clicked 60 times. So the structure is 8 clicks, and then the domain name. Right. So write a function that takes this input as a parameter and returns a data structure containing the number of clicks that were recorded on each domain and each subdomain under it. For example, a click on mail.yahoo.com counts towards the totals for mail.yahoo.com, yahoo.com, and com. Subdomains are added to the left of the apparent domain. So mail and mail.yahoo are not valid domains. Note that mobile.spots appears as a separate domain near the bottom of the input. The sample output are in any order or format. Right. So here we this is where this is name of the function. It says calculates clicks by domain. Then we have those counts here, and then we are going to return something like this. Right. So now here is the thing, and the number of domains in the input. Individual domains and subdomains have a constant upper length. So let's get to work. So for those who don't know this, I'm using a PyCharm, right? So I'm not going to talk about installing it or running it. I'm just going to go straight to code, and then let's start. So let's start by copying this function name. So let's go on to say we define our function name. So what am I going to do? It takes in something like this, and then let's just do as PM. What is it saying? Right. So let me just go on to say this, now this, then to do this. Right. So here I have the definition of my function. Let me just go on to say here. Then what else should I do? Now let's just go on to question. What does the question say? Let's take this, and then we define it somewhere. Let me just define it at the top. Let me remove this. Right. What else should I do? So here it should take counts, right? And then let me call this function. So we will need to print the output of it. So let's have this. Then we put in count. Right. So yeah, all right, okay. So let's just say what? Say input data, yeah. Data, then we call this input data. So now let's get into our function. What is our function supposed to do? So firstly, obviously somehow we will need to look through everything that is in this array, right? So let's just go on there and say for, what can we say, for count in count. Then we go on, let me remove this. Then what should we do? Right. So for each year, let me just put this as what we have okay, I'll look at that but let's do this. What do we need to do on each year? What we need to do is to take this, right, that is google.com, right? And then we get to know how many subdomains are there, right? So how do we get to know this? Let's split this is to say, let me just take this, that is right, where is my, so let's split it into something like this, to say here we have mail, here we have Yahoo, and then here we have com, right? After splitting it like this, then we will check for valid domains, right? So from what we are told from the question, right, we have to say, where is it? So what we have is mail dot, okay, here it is, where is it? Mail and mail.yahoo are not valid domains, right? So here's what happens. If we look at this, we are saying mail and mail.yahoo are not valid domains, which means our domains, the validity starts from the right. If you look at it, because we have com, then we have yahoo.com, and then we have mail.yahoo.com, right? So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this, right? So let me just say the domain, right? Let me just say domains is equals to, then we go count.split. Okay, firstly what I need to do is to take here is right, this is what I wanted, say count, and then to have the entry like this, so that here we have count, right, count, right, then now we have also the domain next, then we split with the comma, right, so that we have this, for example here we have 900 in the variable count, and then we also have the domain google.com in the variable domain, right, like this. Then what am I going to do next? I'm going to get now those domains. Okay, 1 2, then we have domains is equals to, then we split the domain here, right? So now what am I going to do here? What I'm going to do here is I want to look through whatever the domains that I have here, right? So let me go on to say for are in range of length these domains, right? So if I come here, right here, I don't want to do this, can I just disable it? It's fine, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to say what's the domain, right? So imagine like this, taking it from to say com, and then yahoo.com, and then to go on and say mail.yahoo.com. It's just the same as saying from this, let's say this is an array, right? Let me put it in an array like this. Then we have mail, then we have Yahoo, and then we have com, right? What is it that is supposed to happen? By the way, let me just check if there are any messages from YouTube. To my chat. So now I don't have any messages in here, so it's fine, it's okay, right? So let's go and check this. To say give me this is to just say give me something from 0, right, up to the end, then from 1 up to the end, and then just the end, like that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say what? Here I need this, so I'm going to say the domain, right, is equals to, here I'm joining this to say all those domains, right? I'm joining this with a dot. For example, like here, just like I'm removing this and then saying give me mail.yahoo.com, right? And then also give me yahoo.com, then give me yahoo.com, and then so here let me just go on to here, and then let me just where can I increase my font from here? Where's my font size? Yeah, okay, appearance. Then I can just let's go on to 20. Let's apply this. It's just a little okay. It's not what I wanted. I want it from editor. Where can I just go here? But anyways, let's find it. Else size editor. Is this and the size can 10. So where do I find it? Editor. Right. Just to be this. I put 22. Yeah, I guess this works fine. Right. So from here, let's go on to say this. Then we have the domain, right? So when we are looping through this, we're taking from there because this is at 0 index 1 and then index 2. So we're saying from there, right, let's join whatever is in the array, right, from position that we are at when we are looping and then up to the end. So now let's do this. Let me just go on and print whatever so that you can see what I'm talking about. As you can see, at first it gave me what, google.com, and it gave me com. That is, we had this, right? We are at position 0, and then we have google.com, and then we move to this position, then we just percent gave us what? It gave us com, right? Now let's go on next. Now what we need to do is we need somewhere where we can keep these counts, right? To say we have this number, this domain has been viewed this number of times, and by what, right? So now here is what we are going to do. What we are going to do is going to create a dictionary here that is named okay, domain clicks. And then next, let me go on to get here and say domain clicks, and then we put on the domain, right? I don't want this to be going on, right? Then the next thing is what I am going to do. I'm going to say plus equals to, right? I'm going to take this count and then put it here. But now what happens is, here it is a string, right? If you see this and everything that is in here is inside the string, and everything that is in here is inside the string. So we need to do some typecasting to make sure that this count is going to be an integer. So let's just go on to say count is equals to int count, right? Then from here we can do whatever that we want, right? So when we, after doing this, what's the next thing that we need to do, right? So we need to return what we have done in here, right? We need to return domain clicks, right? Return domain clicks, right? But we need to return it in some sort of a format, right? So how are we going to do this? Let me create something, another variable. Instead of saying it's domain clicks, let me just say it result, right? Because we need to do something on that result. So we need to return the result. So from here, what am I going to do? I'm going to say for every domain click, right? I'm going to return it like this, to say we have the com, right? And then we have the value, and then we have the domain, and again the value. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this. So let me first write it like this, to say for every what for in, let's just say domain clicks, right? Domain clicks, right? So from here, what we are going to do is we are going to take the domain, and then we take we take the count, right? And then after doing this, we're going to go in result and then put whatever it is position, but we can do it in line like this. So let's just say 4 x if clicks in, let's remove, right? From here, let me just put it here, and then we say this. So here we need to return something, so let's return the value from here, but this is actually a dictionary, so we will need something like a key. Here is what we are going to do, but here it is okay. I need something here. I need a default what is it saying? Resolve the reference key, then here's this reference for value. Okay, yeah, so this is going to be what? I need a default dictionary. So where can I get a default dictionary? So let's just put when I get a dictionary, so let's just say default dict, right? Not default, the default dictionary. Yes, then let's just say this. What happens if we do this? Nothing, right? Let's try and run this. Here we get this. Why are we this? Right. Okay, I think I got it. Right. So let's go on to bring this. Let's see what we get. I didn't reference this to say to this. So if we go on to say this, so what happens is we are going to do this for domain, then we take the value, right? Because in here we are giving it this key is the domain, right? So we have a dictionary like this. That here is to say com, and then we get a number, which is, let's say 5, right? That is what we are doing here. So what we are now doing here is for every domain, right? And then the value, so this is the key, and then this is the value that we are getting here. Then we have what? The domain clicks dot items. So we are taking every item in what? In the dictionary. So then we are going to return something like this, to say here it is the key, right, that we have, which is the domain, and then the value, and we are returning it for every item that we have, right? So here is I want to explain what happened here. So here, when we say domain clicks domain, then we say plus or equal to the count that we have, right? So what's going on here is there's this statement from our question that says number of domains in the input, individual domains and subdomains have a constant upper length, and also so what then happens is we're taking this from what we have, right here we have 900, right? We're taking that. And then also for those whatever that we have to say for com, right? So we are going to take that count on to say for this domain, right? We are going to say when we reach the domain, let's say com, right? We already have a count that we have. Let's say the count was 900. Then we are going to add to the count that we have already seen, which is from here to say 10, right? So here, if we go on to print this, this is the output that we have. So now we have google.com with 900, then we have com with 1345, then my.yahoo.com with 60, then yahoo.com with 410. So as you can see, this is clearly what can I say? These values from here are actually different, because we have for google.com going to stay like that because we don't have something like that. Yeah, but let me take mobile sports. Where is it? Something sports. Right. Where did I get sports? Okay, from here this is what is a just an invalid domain. So what this means to be is just to give you some sort of more confusion, because if this is invalid but we also have something that is valid here, right? So this is to bring on more confusion. If you go on here, where does mobile sports give us? Gives us one just like this. So that was it for this video. If you liked it, just go on and subscribe. If you don't, well, it's up to you. But anyways, let's just go on to subscribe, hit the like button, and also don't forget to mention this to anyone who is pretty much familiar with Python or any other programming language, but pretty much everyone that wants to learn. So thank you again for viewing this. I'll see you in another video.